give me my respect.
Welcome to Camber House.
Now rocking with the best.
Join your hosts, Jeremy and James, as they take an unfiltered and uncensored look at the car industry and motorsport across the globe.
You can't find the right tool in this garage, you don't belong near a car.
Welcome to the home of car culture.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Full house at Camber House today. We're calling this a two-wheel special.
Some two-wheel drive. There are four wheels, but it's two-wheel drive.
Well, it's been a long day. Right. That's what I meant. In the house today, we got, to my left, Mr. Neil Armstrong.
Hi, how are you going?
That's good. That's,
Cut him off already.
returnee Rhett Watson. Rhett, what's happening?
Good, man. What's up?
Good. Jeremy with arguably the worst shirt in the history of motorsport. Please stand up. Yeah, I mean...
It looked a lot better online than it did in reality. And I don't actually care if you don't like it, because I also don't like it.
Good. Perfect.
Thanks.
Josh Reed in the house. Josh, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. And the one and only Roger Mayers.
Hello.
Good.
Thanks for coming in today, boys.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate it. I think this has been the most requested, well, at least two-wheel drive panel discussion, you name it. A lot of people wanted to hear from you guys. So,
Yeah.
Jay, you want to take it away?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, thanks again for coming in, guys. Obviously, the two-wheel drive class tends to be one of the more popular ones in Barbados, and I think coming out the back of Rally Barbados this year and the kind of Rally Barbados special we did, it appeared as though there was a lot of, I guess there's always been a lot of talk about the two-wheel drive group in general for lots of different reasons. But I guess between this and banning the WRC cars seemed to be a fairly hot topic off the back of Rally Barbados. So we wanted to get you guys in as some of the more experienced two-wheel drive guys. For the record, I did reach out to Andrew Jones, who is the reigning two-wheel drive champion, but he was unable to make it today. So we just kind of pulled together the best of the rest.
Is that how we got invited then?
That's how, that's primarily why. Neil is really filling a seat more than anything
Andrew.
else. So I guess what we wanted to start with is just like briefly talk about, obviously all of you guys have been driving two-wheel drive cars for a very long time. So just in, maybe Roger, we start with you. In as brief terms as possible, how, can you talk a bit about how you think the two-wheel drive class has kind of developed, let's say over the last 10 years?
I would say really good, in my opinion. Grown from strength to strength. We have lost a little bit of competitors. Some like Dane obviously moved on to WRC. So a few people have moved out. But I think the way the class has gone, where it's like a brake horsepower per ton, so it's based on cc's to weight, it works really good. Up to stage, I think when we get around maybe 2,400 cc's or so, and you get up into like wrecked cc's, those cars have a bit of a disadvantage because they're just bigger cars to move through the stages. But sort of like the 1,800 up to 2,400 cc is really the sweet spot. The cars could be 1,900, 2 litre, and they're still racing together. 2,200 cc, still close together racing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been working well.
Yeah, cool. And obviously your car, well, you've gone through like tons of iterations of your Starlet.
Yeah. I struggling to remember what's in it now.
Well, I mean, I think it's cool because both you and Josh actually, like Josh has been driving. I mean, you've been driving the same car from the very beginning, and it's just continued to grow. Why are you looking at me like that? It's continued to kind of grow and develop throughout the year. So maybe you could just share on like a bit about how you feel about where your car started versus kind of where it is now.
Yeah, as you said, it was when I started rallying, it wasn't, I really didn't have a vision in terms of where I was going to end up, but I just started where it was easiest for me to start. At the time, that was Group S. Started basic, and over a 10-year period, I would say, kind of developed the car to a point that it became fairly competitive with fastest two-wheel drive guys that are in this room now. And it's been a journey for sure. It is, yes, it's the only car I've ever rallied. I would like to experience something different at some point, but for the time being, it's certainly an adrenaline rush, which I enjoy. So.
Anything in particular you'd like to drive?
Sure. There's things. I mean, there's many things I would like to drive. I think whatever else I was to try, there needs to be a competitive group, because the competition. I've experienced rallying where there's no competition, and where there's fierce competition, and there's no comparison between the two. So wherever I go, needs to be somewhere that's competitive. So, and probably 4-wheel drive to experience that.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Quickly before we move on, Roger, driving the Zero car at Rally Barbados, are you crossing over to BMWs full time, or what's that?
No.
What was it like?
It was boring, but we still made it a lot of fun. We had music licking inside, AC, and me and Corbs talked the most roll of shite, as you can imagine, especially when I got in long straights, because they just took forever. So, this is the most banter we ever had on the intercom ever.
All right.
And I just wanted to touch on what Josh said. There were like same thing with what I didn't say before. How the 2-wheel drive cars are now. Like the version that my car is now, where I've got it to, it is the most awesome car I've ever driven. From compared to where we started with like Starlets and how they used to be, and where it's developed to now, to get into it, to drive it is just pure joy.
Yeah, it looks pretty wild from the outside.
What's the plan with the Starlet? Because where is it?
It's home. It's good. It's waiting on an airbox to come back from the UK, which I've been royally screwed. As usual, everybody blames everything on COVID.
Right.
So I follow in that there. Basically, COVID has held it back because the gentleman making it is struggling to get raw supplies. But he's back on the job now, and I should have a product by the end of December.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
Neil, you've been out of the game for a minute, but at one point in time, the three of you guys used to have some pretty epic 2-wheel drive battles. You want to talk to us a bit about maybe why you're taking a bit of a hiatus? Hopefully it's temporary.
Yeah, we definitely had some epic battles over the years. Some fierce competition. Definitely had a couple of years where three of us were at it, and Rhett obviously, but Starlets were, I guess, closer grouped together. And then got an opportunity to move up to a different ride. So couldn't really not take it. Had to take it in the scheme of progression, the grand goal of progression, I guess. And then moved away from it, and then came back to it briefly, I think, in 2015, and had some issues. I think we blew the engine in 2015 or 16, and decided to take a break. But would love to get the car going again. My goal is just to get the car going, and then figure out what we'll do with it after that, one step at a time. But working on that at the moment, slowly in the background. No schedule in mind, no deadline,
when it happens, it happens.
When it happens, and no goal. But just need to preserve it. Basically, is the mode I'm in now. Just to get it back together, and then we'll get it driving and starting and going, and then we'll figure out what happened.
Decide when to go racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you like them and would agree that your car last you drove it was at its most epic iteration?
Well, you see. No pressure. Once they open that WRC curtain and you step in behind there, you get to experience in terms of driver feedback, you get to experience some things that it kind of gets your brain ticking. It's like, okay, this is how it's supposed to feel. Now let's try to make the Starlet feel like that. So in terms of a performance, a raw performance like speed and braking, turning, I mean, that's fine. But in terms of like how the mechanical aspects of it all work together, like your steering, for example, how the steering felt in coming back from the WRC Starlet, it was pretty shocking how like raggedy the Starlet felt. So there are definitely certain aspects that I would love to address, but that will come over time.
Did you enjoy your time in the SX4?
I sure as hell did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you get a rally car on gravel. It's like it's just nothing like nothing like that. It's like you put on like an Iron Man suit, basically. You're
invincible.
Yeah, you can do anything. You think about it, happens. It's you can't describe it. There's nothing like that. I mean, I guess I think on gravel specifically. I think about my two-wheel drive car is that it's front wheel drive. So I am coming from a totally different aspect than like Raj and Josh and Rhett.
We'll have that steering problem if it was rear wheel drive.
Exactly. So exactly as Raj said, I have issues that these
are specific to your front wheel drive.
To my problem, yes, and it's not like I can't blame anyone because it's my own doing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I chose to go down this road, so But in terms of small things on the car, I would I know can be improved upon. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. Cool, man. Rhett.
Yeah.
From an Escort.
Well, I didn't
long time.
start it, so
Oh, what?
I didn't rally Escort.
No, you did not. Escort was first.
Yeah, Escort was two Escorts.
And for a long time.
For a long time, and then the BMW.
And then the big bus.
Yeah, they came a long way. Even the Escort, you know,
Yeah, a little closer.
It didn't grow as fast as the Beamer and the Starlets would have. It was a bit more of a slow progression. But it came to the point where we had to decide whether to spend a lot more money in the Escort to make it competitive, where we wanted to be, or the Beamer was for sale at the time. You know, that's an easier platform.
Yeah.
It already had the performance, or most of it. So went that route.
Yeah.
And then obviously that developed then over 9 years to what it is now.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like what these guys say, it's what it was when they bought it and what it is now, two different things.
Yeah.
And also not only performance moves on, safety moves on. You learn, you read a lot, you do your research. Obviously, the social media now across the world, you can reach out to so many people. You see a man's video online, you see a awesome. Let's use an example. The wing on the back of my car looks like a S12 wing, but it's designed for a BMW.
Right.
I saw it on a guy's car in Belgium on a video. Messaged the person that put out the video. He gave me the contact for the guy. Got hold of the guy. He told me where to get the wing. Right? 10 years ago, you couldn't do that.
That's pretty crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Small world.
So
I honestly thought it was an S12 mold
Me
that
too.
you just like hijacked.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
It's about 4 inch, almost 4 inches wider than an S12 wing. As you would expect, the Beamer was a bigger car.
Yeah.
Right? But so stuff like that. So that's where we've got to. So
Yeah.
information, every piece of information, whether it's safety or performance or porn, it's all at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we are. It's come a long way.
Yeah. I think, Neil, just kicking back to you very quickly, you had a brief stint in a...
I just want to clarify, when Rhett said porn, he was talking about Toyota Starlet stuff on the
I'm
internet,
assuming.
right?
That's why I assume.
Yeah, car parts.
Rear drive, actually.
You had a brief stint in a real nice Escort a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was awesome experience as well.
Can we not talk about it?
No, that was an awesome experience as well.
Rhett's getting a bit
It
upset.
was in Millington. As Rhett said, it needed development for Barbados specifically. The gearing was dead off for Barbados, but it had a lot of positive aspects about it.
It was too long geared?
It was very long gear, and it only had a 5-speed gearbox, which I
Right.
think was wrong. I think a 6-speed gearbox is without a doubt the way to go, and the gearing was just too tall. So that hindered it in Rally Barbados specifically. But in terms of just enjoyment, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of sport.
So yeah, that was like checking a box for me, I guess.
Yeah.
That was kind of my retirement. That came about as the Starlet. It didn't have an engine. And when I looked at the cost of buying a Starlet engine or getting some sponsors together and using that lump sum of money to do one big thing, that was the option. When you really boil the cost of these things down. I mean, granted, it was a one-off deal, or you have a Starlet engine for a couple of years. That's what it was, and it just seemed like something fun to do.
All right. Just keeping on the light and topical stuff before we dive in a bit more depth into like the two-wheel drive group in particular. If you, Raj, I'll start with you because you have the mic in front of you, and I'll pass to Josh. If you could choose, you can't choose a car you currently have, but if you could choose any two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive car to have right now, cost is irrelevant. You can just pick, and it will be yours and maintained at no cost. What are you going for?
RS200.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ford RS200. I would.
That's not what
I would kill people for one.
That's not what I was expecting.
Well, there's not many of them, that's for sure.
No.
There's some good ones around.
Jeremy would definitely have to add in that caveat that cost was
Yeah.
Cost is irrelevant.
Yeah. It's very difficult. It's very unique to find a space framed four-wheel drive car that has double front wishbone suspension, and that has it. It's quite a good car. Yeah.
I would. I think obviously Roger went pretty technical there. I don't know what. I mean, there are many things I would like to say, but I think it would probably have to be one of the new WRC cars because
current.
Yeah, current, because it's just obviously something that in my mind is very out of reach. But to experience that and compete in something like that would have to be the ultimate at this point, in my opinion. So
I saw a video yesterday or day before of Calais Rovanpera. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Yeah.
Jesus
Young-
Christ,
young
testing
kid,
on
yeah.
tarmac. Dude, these cars are like Group B cars on drugs.
Yeah.
They're the most insane cars like ever.
I think the-
So
I think
yeah,
the
I mean, they have
balance
to
is
be.
a
I
little
think,
better.
I think that was a good show.
Where's that?
Yeah, I think that was a good show, Josh, because they look absolutely insane in the hands of those men.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for in the hands of those men.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think that like Robin Pera and Evans, like this, I guess what you would classify or consider as like a young crop. These boys are sharp.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they've been brought up in it from very young and been.
Yeah, I mean, they've been driving
exposed to it.
WRC since they're like 13 or 14 or
Exactly.
something.
I think the boys are very, very sharp.
It's insane to watch.
Yeah.
Right.
If I had to choose one, it'd probably be Mirror's Focus.
Really?
That thing is mental. You see, he used to trick us and tell us it was only like 500 horsepower. Until I drove a car that had 500, I realized
way more than that.
right? So yeah, I've seen it go on the track. I've been in it, and it's foolish. I would definitely rock that for a couple of laps for sure.
That's an impressive bit of kit.
Okay.
Hold on. What are you going here for, my man?
Keep on moving on.
You don't want to. You don't want anything.
I don't know. I
Somebody's
guess,
giving you something. You don't want to take it.
as Josh said, it would have to be a rally car, or I'm a bit of an Evo fan. So if it was something you want in the garage, it would probably be like a 05 WRC Lancer would
That'd be sick too.
just to have and to hold.
That'd be sick.
Okay. Let's ask the question about the R5 thing and what you guys think personally on the R5 class, if it's good. What are your honest thoughts on the R5 class in Barbados?
I think it's great. I think it's a good platform for people that can afford it, that are not looking to build a car in their garage. They're not a home-brewed mechanic. It's a good platform for someone to just come in at almost the top of the level in rallying now, because there's only the WRC cars and there's not much of them that are there. And obviously proven to be very reliable. So, you spend the cash up front, you get a good, fast, reliable platform to go rallying on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Felt like that was a good PC answer there, Roger.
Truth.
I can't disagree. I think the R5 right now, if I had to pick something else to do, it probably would be that, because the competition is there, they're reliable. I mean, that's one aspect of things that we continuously battle with is having something that you don't have to pour hours and hours and hours into it just to make sure it's going to work. Mm-hmm. I think that attracts me more than anything else to something like that, is having something reliable. But the R5 class is, I think it's one of the best things. The competition is there, and I certainly would like to experience it at some point. So.
Okay, cool.
Nilo?
Amen. Total agreement. What everyone has said.
Right. Do you have an opposing view?
None.
Okay.
I just to add to it, I think it's great that we've seen a lot of those cars come to Barbados, and we have a competitive group, because the natural progression, that's a stepping stone between Group S and World Rally Car.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, the World Rally Car is going to be out of reach. For fewer, R5 will be out of reach. And Group S says you can run anything, whether it's standard or modified.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very good. The competition is real close, and it's not just one make of car.
Yeah.
There's
a few
cars, and there's a few that haven't even come here yet.
Yeah. That's true.
French brands.
Yeah.
So I think it's very good.
Yeah, I think we talked about it extensively, and I think one of the most appealing things, at least for from not even necessarily for a spectator point of view, but I just think as a motorsport enthusiast, I think it's always great when you have cars that are so close or identical to one another. And then, the simplest, most basic example is when they had that Swift group at Bushy Park. That was it was hilarious, but it was some of the best racing too. The cars are so close, and everybody's almost on a level playing field. Because you could argue that, the Ford has this platform, it's better, and the Skoda, whatever.
Maybe to drive, but not to watch. Sure.
Yeah, but you know what? Though?
I would you. I zone out.
But this is part of
Are you
why
talking about the Swifts or the R5?
R5
honestly, I'm saying
Swifts,
both. I'm saying actually
I
both.
zone out all of
Oh,
them.
you think they're boring?
Not that they're boring. If you stand up and watch one and study it, cool. But then when there's a pack of 10, it's like a bunch of bees passing me. You're like, oh, okay. You don't know who's who. You don't know which is what.
But I just think from like a pure motorsport enthusiast perspective, it just
Sure.
makes it more exciting.
As in everybody's on a level
Yeah,
level
yeah, that's
playing
what I
field.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think
I
is
agree
why
there. I agree there.
we have this discussion, because a lot of people would like to see, all of you get an R5 class at one point.
Yeah.
To race everybody on even machinery pretty much, to see who would come out on top. I think that's what people probably, would dream of seeing. But to me, it's just, I wasn't impressed that much
Fair
with
enough.
the R5 class.
I just think the
Like,
other frustrating
I'd
thing.
rather watch SM2 and just see people going, just actually driving the cars. Like,
I think the
Matt.
only frustrating thing that Josh touched on with cars like what these guys rally and like cars of this nature that are highly built and very kind of custom and specific is the reliability, right? So like all 3 or all 4 or 5 or 6 they all could start, and it's like, yeah, they got 6 men now that could challenge not only 4-wheel drive cars, but it's like a great 2-wheel drive battle. And more often than not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them let go, and some shit goes wrong. And it sucks for a spectator, but it must suck way more for y'all, because as Josh said,
That's usually as a result of the stage miles, because we usually calculate for a certain distance, and if the rally's longer,
I would tack on to what Josh is saying there.
I think Josh is talking shit, so don't take that seriously.
when we all go out and do the one-day rallies, all of us finish, all of us come back home.
Yeah.
As soon as we have these rallies where there's more than one day, multiple venues, and certainly when the rallies come around, like Rally Barbados, we're going on to stages that are bumpy as hell. Whereas like the double header single day rallies, they tend to find like Lambert's all smooth, Kendall all smooth, stages that the cars don't shake to bits.
So why is it then that the cars can't handle the longer rallies? In your opinion,
Because
and
1984.
dude, but to be fair, nothing in those is 1984. Come on,
Because
nothing in them is
because-
1984.
Very, very simply, cars like R5s and WRC cars, not only are they built for tarmac, they're built to go and do gravel. And as soon as a car, yes, they will put on lighter suspension for tarmac, no doubt about it. But the cars are still built like tanks to handle gravel, to go to grease, to go to tough events. And to give you an example, my brother's Fiesta, modern car, they put that down through Hangman Hill, probably the worst condition stage in Barbados. And he has a rose joint on the back that is 1 inch in diameter, the threads. Big diameter. Hit in a pothole, sheared it clean off. Yeah, we couldn't believe it. Never seen a 1 inch rose joint break in our life. And that's just the condition in the road. So we're building our cars for like tarmac, yes, but not that bumpy and then they drop it and say, oh, gotta swing through Vaucluse. Woo! The cars ain't built for that. We build tarmac terriers. That's what they are. And the tarmac terriers show their colors when we have these single day rallies, because they pick nice stages, nice venues, and we go there and have a whale of a time. But then Rally Barbados comes along. We need to get the longer stage mileage. The organizers are under pressure to give you the longer stage mileage, because overseas guys, they want longer stages. And then, we go through these roads that, in my opinion, just shake the cars to bits. So it's tough.
I just want to add on to what they're saying. For me personally, 50% of my enjoyment of my car is actually working and developing my car. I'm not sure about the rest, and I know Roger might be a little bit the same.
More than 50%.
I enjoy not only driving it, but working on it. Right? That's my hobby. That's my thing. Right? Whether it's making the car faster, or making it more reliable, or making it safer, or whatever, developing it to the next stage, next level. That's what I enjoy as well. Is that side of it as well as driving it. No, that's not everyone's cup of tea. No, Neil here just likes to drive.
Yeah, I'm here to drive.
So,
Just
but
wanted-
let me.
that's my
But,
perspective.
no, and that's fair. I know both you and Roger. I know Josh, even him, does a lot of work on his car himself too. I'm sure Neil does as well. He might not like it. But
Yeah, no,
I've seen you tighten a harness
Then you
before.
said,
I think.
"Ben, you want beer?"
But so I hear you on that point, right? But would you not spend, like Josh? Would you? I mean, I know because I've years and years back come and helped, basically do nothing, more so company than actually help. But I know how much stress and time and effort goes into Rally Barbados. So surely it would be more enjoyable for you to spend less time worrying about whether the car is going to hold up, and maybe even if you have to put in the same amount of work up front, but know that you can actually drive the car for the whole weekend, and chances are it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I've gone to the point where it doesn't. Well, I mean, I say gone to the point obviously because there's a couple of years I haven't rallied consistently, but I got to the point where I, wasn't overly concerned about if the car was gonna make it or not through the event because, I mean, all I could do is all I could do. So I used to put in all the effort I could. I used to, have everybody helping me to try and get there. And if something, I've had some freak things happen. Like, I mean, I remember Rally Barbados, first stage, going down the road, press the brakes, the brake pedal goes to the floor, one of the master cylinders failed. And it's like, it was.
Been there for 10 years.
Are these things supposed to last like 20 years? I mean, so no, but you have some freak things that happen sometimes, and so many stories. But I think honestly, you have to, as Rhett said, you kind of have to be enjoying that aspect of it in terms of developing the car and understanding that this is going to happen, and it's the hand that I have been dealt. Right, so this is where I've ended up, and I enjoy it. I mean, when the car is working, and when I get a stage right, and the car is spot on, there's just like nothing like it. It's unbelievable, and those moments make up for all the letdowns, So I don't know. I can't say that it steers me away from it, but there are times certainly where when you get on in life, then time becomes limited, where you don't have the time to spend doing those things, and you have to rely on people. But there's only so much that everyone can do for you, Yeah. So I guess it's a give or take, really.
Yeah. Neil, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's there's no way you can get around it working on a rally car. I mean, obviously Rhett and Raj and Josh, and maybe Josh a bit less than these guys, obviously. These guys thoroughly enjoy. That's part of the sport for them, is building and development and tinkering or working in the garage and whatnot. And that necessarily is not my kettle of fish. I have spent countless hours in the garage. Nothing has happened on my start that I wasn't there to help with and be a part of. But yeah, the driving of it is why I'm involved. Not as much as the development or a fabricator, and I give the guys total props for that. But that's not my jam.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more.
All right, and we're back. So I think what we want to get into now is a little bit about the regulations of the, what do you want to call it?
Yeah, just
BRC.
or just this super modified group. I mean, as we kind of said in the beginning, I think there's been, I guess there's always been
a lot of talk.
There's always been a lot of talk about this group and the cars, and whether or not there's been debates rather about whether or not the cars are safe, or how safe the cars are compared to other cars that compete in rallying. At the end of the day, motorsport is a dangerous sport, so there's always some level of risk. But there's definitely been a lot of talk, and I'll put my hand up and say that I've said before that I thought the two-wheel drive cars were more dangerous than other rally cars.
Well, who better to say other
so
than
I
the
think
drivers?
the whole point now is maybe we could lead into a discussion where perhaps you guys can just share your thoughts, maybe do a bit of educating, because as I said, I think there's definitely perceptions out there that that these cars are just purely unsafe for the drivers or competitors that when compared to whatever R5 or slower two-wheel drive cars. So maybe I don't know, Roger, you want to open the bowl in on your thoughts around that?
How much time you got, buddy?
Not that long.
I like your radio voice. Neil's got like a little, hi, this is Neil Armstrong.
I kind of knew we were going to be talking about safety, so all I can tell you about the way I think to approach it is what I have done to my car. I don't want to zone in on any other competitors' cars or anything like that, so that the world can understand the level that I have gone to make sure my car is safe. And I also have to make some points as well. First off, not talking about my car in general, just talking about safety in general. I want the public to be aware that the heavier a car is, the more dangerous it is. So a car that weighs 900 kilos, when I skin over and I hit the bridge wall going to hold me. The car that weighs 1,200 kilos, when it skin over, it licked over the bridge wall and it going down the gully below. So basically it's inertia, right? And when you start to look at regulations in Ireland, for example, with all these like Mark II Escorts that you see flying all over the place and stuff, The regulations actually have like a maximum weight limit. They want to keep the cars light. Mark II Escorts with 2.5 millimeters in it, the maximum weight is 880 kilos. My car now is 900 kilos, to give you an example. I think their minimum is 790 that they're allowed to go down to. In the last 5 years, in Ireland, there's only been deaths in R5 cars, no deaths in two-wheel drives. So just to lay that out there. Right. So then we start how I built my car. When I was building this generation of Starlight, there was a lot of heat going on with us building roll cages here in Barbados. Because we were using a material called T45, which is very strong, like chromoly, very, very tough material. What it allows you to do is use a thinner gauge material, but it then can be as strong as the thicker gauge material, which is common practice in the UK, all over the world, blah, blah, blah. But it kind of took Barbados by a bit by storm. That here the M&M workshop was putting in these cages. We were bringing in people from the UK to weld it and stuff because you have to know how to weld it, etc. So I decided it was time to build another Starlet. And the first thing I did was we mocked up a roll cage in the Starlet out of PVC pipe. And then I measured the cage up, and these measurements went off to the MSA in the UK, which is like a governing body, like the FIA in a way. Yeah. MSA governs motorsport in the UK. Because I wanted to get an MSA logbook for the car to show how safe the car was. And when they sent the measurements of the cage I mocked up to a place called Myra, which you can Google it, they're like a safety place. They have a wind tunnel, blah, blah, blah. They've punched all these figures into like computer. The computer comes back, yes, this can pass a crash, this can't pass a crash. So the first thing
I think
that
they put it into CFD.
CFD, yeah. Right.
And what are the parameters that they are like, yes, this can survive a crash of what?
Right, so it's based on what the weight of the vehicle will be when it's competing, and then they base a lot of things on the measurements of the cage. So like from where the foot of the pipe goes to, up to the roof, to the back, the size of your door openings,
right?
Where the main hook goes to, a lot of data. I had to give these people a lot of data.
But like, what kind of, what level of impact are they like rating you on?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure what the load test. It's called a load test. I'm not sure. I have my document here. I may be able to find what it's tested to.
He's got printouts, guys.
Yeah. But I can't remember what it was.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
What I don't have the actual figure. But what's interesting here is, so the first time I sent off all the data, the car failed the test. It couldn't pass it. The first thing it failed for was the size of the door aperture, because it was a 4-door shell. And basically, the new regulations were that door aperture was too small in case you had a rollover, an accident, we couldn't get you out fast enough. It needs to be a minimum size to get a competitor and like a helper in there to get you out.
That's surprising, because you would think that if you could split that, say, the side of the car.
Neil, can you just wait till the mic's there? Go ahead. If not, nobody's going to be able to hear what you're saying.
Sorry, I was saying that you would think that it would be safer, it would be stronger if you could split the side of the car up into two equal parts and have that pillar in the middle. Yeah, that would be the stronger car.
What they say is that it hinders then the people getting a man that can't get out the seat out the car. Like if you have to cut the seat out and not take the driver out the seat, you need to be able to take the driver out the car in the seat.
You wouldn't think about that,
right? That's interesting. Yeah. So then, obviously in Barbados, we only have 4-door Starlights. 2 doors are like gold. Yep. So the decision was made to take my 4-door shell and turn it into a 2-door shell by moving the pillar, giving me a longer door. Yep. When I did that, I just scraped through the pass for that. Yep. Then we had to move some other bars around and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all that was done to pass and to be able to get this.
For those of you listening, he's showing us.
I feel like this is a
big MSA National Safety Cage Certificate.
Like, stands up and says,
right. And it has a picture of my cage, and then when we cruise through.
Chat to the mic there, Rog.
Sorry, it has a picture of my cage, and then when we cruise through, pictures of the Starlight, all the cage knuckles. That's the same door aperture I was telling you about.
So then they took the aperture on the wider door, because you had to obviously this is a fiberglass. This is a mold that you created, or what?
So
I'm guessing you had to.
No, we're talking metal work here.
This is definitely what you need to watch if you're listening. Go and watch it instead, or because you're gonna. Yeah, Josh, get your documents out. Rhett, you got yours?
Don't let this shock you. That's what my car looks like with nothing on it. Right? So this bar here, that B pillar,
Yes.
right, was originally probably there.
So you moved
Right.
it back like
We moved it back,
foot?
I think 8 inches.
Okay.
8 or 10 inches. And then had to turn the 4-door shell into a 2-door shell, right, in essence, to be able to get that opening to pass.
I gotta take a picture. We're gonna put it on screen.
Okay, we'll put it on the screen.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's to give you an idea of the lengths
that
that
you've
I
gone
But
to.
let me
have
ask
gone
you,
to.
let me ask you a question, or maybe one of you guys can answer, because I'm not surprised to see that you've done all this. My gut tells me that this is probably not the extent that every single two-wheel drive competitor goes to. Probably for a bunch of different reasons. One, they may not feel the need, and two, I'm assuming this whole exercise was not particularly cheap and or easy.
When you flip that one over, you'll see the problem.
But
Don't put that one on camera. Oh, okay.
don't put that on camera. We'll look at that after then. But no, I mean the extent to which you've gone obviously is significant. But I like Josh. I mean, but Josh, I don't know if you have. I guess, yeah, I mean, do you have any kind of thoughts or, around your perspective on kind of some of the things Roger has said? I'm not trying, I just want to have a discussion about this. I'm not trying to say
And
that.
I'm not done yet.
Let Roger continue then.
Go ahead, Roger, go ahead.
So no, basically to round it all off, I had to move that pillar to pass these regulations. Then all of the lengths of the pipe were put into this CFD at Myra. The car passed the crash test.
Yep.
And basically that tells you that the car is safe, that you get into an accident, you can hopefully live. But yeah, in motorsport, dangerous, right? You get an odd thing
You have the
like
best chance.
Panton.
You have the
where
best chance,
Do you think Panton thought that he would ever run through some oil field pipe fence? You know, like when Myra is sitting down crushing that, they're not thinking about oil field pipe coming through the bottom of your floor.
True.
Right? So once the data passes these figures, they approve it. Right? And the what I can also sit here and tell the public is that you've seen the strength of my car. I've been in 2 serious accidents with it and it's still the same shell going. And you only ever see that around here with like WRC cars that are built like tanks, where the guys hit them. Roger Hill rolled his Celica a few times. And repair, go again, or Corolla.
Both.
Right, and repair, go again. Cars are built like tanks, like WRC tanks.
Yeah.
This same place, Myra, they do all the work for WRC guys. So they know what's expected of a roll cage. So that's where I end on the roll cages part.
Josh, you got anything you want to add?
When it comes to safety, for sure, I think it's an important fact. I mean, nobody wants to drive a car and get hurt, right? Nobody wants to be unsafe. I think if you're talking about safety of cars, you can't only look at Group S, because Group S, and again, I'm not referencing any other people, but well, I guess I will reference someone else to make it easy. For example, Neil Corbin's car.
Yeah.
Right.
If a lot of people may look at my car and consider it to be unsafe, but not look at Neil's car, I think that's unsafe, right? But there's really no difference between 2 cars, and I mean, there may be some roll cage differences. Maybe I have more pipe in my car, I don't know. But if you're talking about safety, which I think is a serious topic, and like the lengths that Roger went to, he's probably the only person who did that. But it's something that I think, sure, there's room for improvement. There are things that we can do to maybe make the sport more safe. Is it unique to Group S? No. I think it's something that is wider than that. The difference between my car, and again, I'm drawing like Neil Corbin's car or Jamal Brathwaite's car, like those guys are doing the same top speed as me. We're doing the same top speed. The difference is the speed in which I get there. Right. So going through the kink at the top of Kendall, we're all going through there at the same speed. It might give the impression that my car may seem more dramatic because of the sound and whatever else makes it that way. But the truth is that the safety of the cars have to be governed by how they're built. And I mean, if you're building your car to a standard and you're doing what you need to do to keep it safe, I think classifying the cars as unsafe, I think, is probably not a fair comment, right? Because you're dealing with a whole wide range of cars. Because again, the difference between my car and all the other 2-wheel drive cars, bar 1 or 2, is that is very little. I mean, yes, I have fiberglass on my car, but aside from that, and that's not even, that in itself I don't think is a safety concern. But I think when it comes to your rules, the question needs to be asked, what is it you're trying to achieve? There's a lot of talk that I hear watching the programs and stuff before that the Group S needs to be looked at. I'm not a diehard Group S man, just to put it on the floor. Like I'm not like bound to Group S, and I don't think that Group S is the best thing ever. I just, that's where I am. But if someone wants to make a change, I'm not opposed to change. But there needs to be a reason for the change that is going to benefit in some way, whether it be safety or making it more affordable or, encouraging more people to get involved in the sport. But certainly a lot of effort goes into the build quality of my car as well. We put a lot of effort into what we do, making sure we put good stuff on it so it's safe. And yeah, it's a smaller car, so is it fair to compare it to a car like Rhett's? In certain instances, there are different accidents that can happen. If, as Roger said, if Rhett hits a bridge wall, he might have a more dramatic accident than if I do. But if I have an incident where I hit into something that requires some sort of cushion between me and the accident, then Rhett might be in a better position than me. So it's just so difficult to classify the cars as being unsafe because I don't think that's...
And every accident is different.
Exactly. There's so many variables. So I am all for safety. I don't drive... If my car was unsafe, I wouldn't drive it.
Right.
I wouldn't drive it if my car was unsafe, full stop.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself maybe...
And bear in mind all the WRC cars, R5 cars, they're all much heavier than us.
Yeah.
Well, not me.
No, not right.
I got a little tank there.
You think that this conversation stems from, well, where does it begin with? Is it like just people watching? Is this competitors in WRC class or R5 class that say
I don't
these
think it's
things?
any of that. I think it's just uneducated people.
Right, so they're just seeing cars because obviously they're getting faster because more work's being done to them. So they are thinking that because the cars are so light that they're a death box.
Yeah.
So we spoke about this before. Actually, I think it was only Neil was here at that point, and you guys. Where rallying came from to where it is now. Back in my dad's day in Group S, he had a 500 kilogram Volkswagen Beetle, right?
Yeah.
Running in short pants and a t-shirt and a helmet, barefoot. Those guys thought about it on a Friday, built it on a Saturday, raced it on a Sunday. Our cars can't do that. We can't do that with our cars. Similar to Roger, obviously I didn't go through the exercise with the MSA with him because he did his car locally. My shell was built in Ireland. So all that was done by the company that built it. Well, the body shell itself.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to go through that whole process. They just supplied me with a document when it was finished. Here you go, this is the certification. And I'm sure Barry has the same thing for his car. I'm not sure about Neil, but I know Neil's car was done professionally by a reputable company that builds these cars all over the world. Mm-hmm. So it's safety, yes. I wouldn't, like Josh, I would not drive my car if it was unsafe. It just... My life means more to me than driving a scaffold with some plastic back doors.
There's also a couple of things to add to it, I think, that has also given the perception, which the group of us in here actually have helped police as competitors that want to have a safer environment when it comes to the composite panels. Motorsport, 10 years ago, guys were running around with like 1 layer fiberglass panels, bonnet. You see guys coming out straight the bonnet, doing this here, one bonnet looking up at you, the door leaning out, right? Fiberglass like one and a half millimeters thick, right? And that was acceptable at the time. And then there came a point where...
Would you argue that was dangerous?
That was dangerous. Yeah. I mean, you got a bonnet doing like this here, that let go and blind the driver off the road, he goes. Right? So because there was no, and then when Rhett and I sat down and looked at the regulations, there was nothing in the regulations controlling composite panels. No. It just said fiberglass panels were allowed, but
no further definition.
No further definition.
Thickness or whatever.
No, nothing like that. So in 2016, I sat down and made a regulation, and the club has actually adopted it, and it's gone in there, and that's for replacement body panels. And then we come in here and we say, the doors now have to be 5 millimeters? 4 millimeters thick. We have to have test holes to measure that. If you go with a carbon Kevlar, it can be slightly thinner because carbon Kevlar is stronger. And like to give you an example of the level I go to, the minimum here is 4, my doors are 6.
Right.
And the video that we posted on Facebook earlier, those doors were 3.5. They're not even up to the minimum here.
Right, yeah. For
Right?
those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Eminem and Watson Racing put together and did a video dropping some kettlebells on both fiberglass and metal doors just for comparison from 9.5 feet. So you can check that out on their Facebook page if you want to get
Yeah.
reference to what Roger's talking about.
So, and just to touch on it there, so we came up with this rule to do this, to try to bring safety in there, because my opinion is just because something is fiberglass or composite, don't ignore it. It's a wonderful material. Formula 1 cars are all composite and they're very safe. If it's used right, it can be very good. You have the problem with fiberglass doors, for example, where you go and look at a competitor's car and he's got a fiberglass door, and where it goes on, his door hinges is just a bolt and a nut. Well, you could hold on to that door and pull that straight off of there. So what we've done here is, where it's any regulations, where that is, we then fiberglass in a steel plate with your nuts. So that's glass into the door. So that can't go anywhere. Not there forever, right? What's proven to be an advantage in the composites versus the steel, which is shown in our test, is it's able to give and deflect, right? If you watch the kettlebell fall on it,
Yeah, so it rebounds almost.
it bounds it back off.
Yeah.
Steel, not the same thing. The steel is just going to take it all in and come at you, right? Now, you may ask, well, why aren't the WRC cars now running composite doors? I asked myself the same question, because I think they're running metal doors. The whole car is composite apart from the door.
Yeah.
The only reason I can think of is for dust and sealing, because a metal door, composite has give, flexibility. You're dealing in gravel rallies, wet rallies. You want a door that will seal onto its door rubber all the way around. You can't afford for dust to be coming in there with a 30-mile stage, right?
Right.
You go mad.
yeah.
That's all I can think of. I haven't been able to speak to someone on the current WR scene to confirm that. That's my only reason I can think why they are, because in my opinion, from what I have watched online, my research, composites are far better than metal. Once used in the right thicknesses.
Is it possible that the metal doors would, in the event of something, like the same, you gave the example of when Panton left the road and had the oil pipe come through his car. Is it possible that perhaps a metal door would be more resistant to something coming at it like that?
Depends on the composite. 'Cause
Rather than an
for
impact?
an example,
Well-
my doors are carbon Kevlar
Right.
at 6 mil, and at 5 mil is what a bulletproof vest is.
Right.
So puncture of a Kevlar door is, yes, it's going to be hidden.
It's possible, but it's
possible,
less
but it's
likely
less
than
likely.
right.
And I would,
And that would be stronger than a metal door.
Definitely.
Right.
and to answer you, Jeremy, as well, I would point blank say no. And the reason
No
I think
what?
is
Sorry.
that the steel door would be weaker than the composite.
Stronger.
No, the steel door is weaker, so the composite
Right.
would be strong.
Oh, sorry.
In Panton's accident with
Yes.
the oil pipe.
Yes.
The composite door, I think, would do better, because, and the reason I can say that straight off the bat is because the metal doors are not like road car doors. All of the bars inside, like your safety bars, which we did in our test, we cut them out, because everybody that has a metal door, they gut it. All
Right.
that's there is a little 1 millimeter metal skin. That's it.
Right.
All these safety bars that the manufacturers put there, they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? If those safety bars were there, like in Panton's accident, and then you compare that to a composite door, whole different ball game.
Right.
Then we would need to take a composite door and glass in a piece of steel to compare that level of strength. But comparing just that metal skin to like a composite that you're tripling, quadrupling the thickness, no chance.
I know that he cannot be here to defend himself, but should we bring up Daryl's accident in this? Because maybe that has some bearing on...
Well, I think
Not
that,
on composite.
not on composite, but I think that, I
Right.
think Daryl's crash was I think that definitely put a little bit of spark in the whole
In the
two-wheel drive fire, right? Like that. I think after, and I'm not saying that that is correct, but I just think after his accident, and thankfully him and Russell are okay, but I think that definitely, like after that, it seemed to like spark up from some other competitors and people that I spoke to and other, I guess, just motorsport enthusiasts that you see this way we need to get rid of these two-wheel drive cars. Look at what happened to Daryl and Russell. When that could have happened realistically in any car.
Look at what happened to Panton's car.
Yeah, true.
Swiss
Yeah.
cheese. Same rally.
Same, right?
Yeah.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Well, don't say
Yeah.
rally. Year after.
Oh, year after.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but still.
same rally Barbados. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and like
And both accidents were the extremes of one another. One was a sudden stop,
yeah.
and one was a roll that continued, but just happened to have a lot of dangerous debris in the road.
Yeah.
So there's no comparison between
Yeah,
the two.
I mean the first accident that I had in my Starlet up in like Mount Gay, Luke Hill, that I came to a dead stop at a tree. I was doing 64 miles an hour when I hit that tree, and I just came to a dead stop. The biggest damage I had was from the seat belts, which I think is what Russell and Darryl had as well. Since then, I've learned from the accident and changed how some of my seatbelts are done to avoid that. And the unfortunate thing with Daryl's car is that I really wanted to see it after the accident to learn from the damage, but it wasn't possible to see it, because being a bit of an engineer or fabricator, it's nice to see what happens to a car, because then you can learn, well, we should get competitors to mount things differently. We should do this differently. But unfortunately with his accident, I don't know what speed he was doing when he hit the tree stump, but I think the majority of all of their damage didn't come from the tree stump. It came from the seat belts. Yeah. Interesting.
Funny enough, you say seat belts, but remember the girl earlier this year that died in the R3 car, I think it was? Yeah. It was seat belts that did the damage. They did not stretch or pop as they were supposed to.
So there's a limit that the seatbelts get to?
I see the thing is in Barbados as well, we don't necessarily destroy seatbelts after an accident. Because you're supposed to, after a certain impact, you're supposed to cut the belts. The scrutineer or the safety people are supposed to cut them.
So you can't use it again.
So you can't use it again because they're designed to stretch.
Because they're stress tested and all that, right?
They're designed to stretch to a certain point, and that's it. So if you've stretched them already, put them back in the car, go running again and have an accident, they ain't going to stretch no more.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse me, there's no regulation right now for seatbelt mounting positions.
No, there is.
There are some regulations, because there's some stupid things you can do, especially with these belts here. If you
Shoulder
take these
belts?
Oh, you mean those guys?
Those belts.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all. Fuck you
Like,
too.
for example, that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, this is a stupid. Yeah, I agree. This is stupid. This is
fire for your hands, brother.
This is a stupid thing to do. Yeah. All right, fuck off. Let's move on.
But yeah, a simple one like these belts here. So there's a rule dictating what angle the mounting has to be. And very simple, if you take the angle down and you were to mount them like down there,
Yes.
when you try to slide forward on your belts, the belt is going to want to bring you down to the mounting height. So it compresses you. It
Right.
screws your spine up.
Interesting.
So those belts need to be like parallel. There is a slight allowance of angle, but not
What
much.
about where they mount into the floor?
Yes. So there is a regulation. They can't be further back. They have to be straight down,
Directly beneath
slightly
you?
in front. Yeah.
Or in front?
Because if it's back and you have
Yeah,
a head-on collision,
it's gonna-
you know what's going to happen.
It's gonna rip you up.
Yeah, no kids.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and as I said, like Daryl's car, we weren't able to look at all this after the accident to see if it was all.
I'm not saying
done.
anything was wrong
No,
with it.
not saying anything. It may have been 100% right, but just would have been nice to know how these guys sustained the injuries they did and how can we make it better that it doesn't happen again.
Makes sense. Cool.
I thought you wanted to say something, so I gave you the mic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had no idea, obviously, that. I mean, it's part of the reason, right? I mean, I was probably one of those uneducated people that perhaps said things. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
I mean, who else would wear this shirt?
I can see where you're coming from, because if you look at the people in the stages, just watch spectators as the cars are coming. When the R5s come and the WRC, everybody's like, yeah, man, yeah. When something bend the corner and it pull 9,000 RPM, spectators like.
Right, but that was my original point.
Yeah.
But I thought it was perception based, that people are seeing these cars bent out of shape, or like just people driving them hard, whereas all the WRC R5s are balanced. It just seems like nothing.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I think there is that perception.
Yeah, there
That
is.
does
There
exist,
is,
yeah.
for sure. But I just think there was, again, like I had no idea the extent, and I don't think anybody did really, unless they're close to you, to which you went to your car,
No,
or
I've
even
never-
like,
I've never
or
shared
even,
that
or even, or even Josh's car, or you know what I mean. And I don't know what kind of extent yours was too, but Rhett spoke for you a little bit and said that he knows it was well built. And I mean, I'm assuming that you, at least like Josh and Rhett and Roger,
Well,
that you felt safe in your car when you were driving
yeah,
it.
I feel safe in the car. I mean, I consulted Raj.
Same guy that welded mine, welded his.
I mean, I got to commend these guys on the work that they've done. They obviously have gone above and beyond in terms of safety and doing the back end research on what's necessary to be safe and to be protected. And yeah, I consulted Raj, and basically that's how I ended up with the cage in my car. And it's done by a professional, ex-Ford.
Yeah, he used to build WRC cars when Ford
man.
ran the Escort cars were.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
built all their cages.
So it's
all their
you know,
cages.
it's not a, I don't want to talk bad with anyone, but it's not like a backyard, ahi tree man.
It's a professionally built.
Yeah, we wouldn't run it any other way. Some thought has gone into it, and yeah, it's just one of those things. It's the thing about it is that you don't want to try and like kind of mainstream it too much, because then the whole motorsport fraternity will lose its diversity. And I think that's what we have going for us. We have people in Barbados building their own cars And I think that's part of Bajan culture. Like, people want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that we can't lose. So we
Well,
need to
and
have...
you see it after the events with the fans, where all the fans come up to you, oh man, we miss you all in the rally, we wanted to see two-wheel drive. By that time, we done back down. Right? But they come up to you and they're like, man, these R5's boring, and we want to hear the RPM.
So the R5s are great, but we can't lose the diversity. We can't lose that a man can just build whatever he wants to build. If a man decides he wants to build a 12-valve starlet or a Z-Swift, there need to be regulations in place, and hopefully Roger and Rhett can get that to a point where whoever is questioning the safety can appreciate that and accept that to be safe, that we can still have people build whatever they want to build, because that is part of what motorsport is in Barbados.
That's where we've come from.
That's where we've come from.
Yeah.
And if you try to mainstream it and just say, okay, well, you can have WRC or Rally 2 or Rally 3 or Rally 4, nobody can go and watch. Nobody's going to be interested in it.
Not saying not to have them, include them, but just don't exclude.
Yeah.
As I said in a post on Facebook many weeks ago, Rally Barbados and rallying in Barbados in general has been a rally of inclusion. Right, that's what attracts.
That's
so
what
many
makes
people
it
here.
so good.
You
Yeah.
run what you bring. Group B cars, Group S cars, standard cars, WRC cars, whatever.
Exactly. I think Rally Barbados should be based around that, based around a rally that you can come from overseas, you can come from England and see, like specials, you know what I mean, or like historic cars. You can see current cars, like what's the event they do in Italy that
Rally Legends.
Rally Legends. I think Rally Barbados should be like an event like that where you can have cars like that.
Because if we do that and we have just these certain cars, then why are they going to leave Europe? They already have it there. There's no reason to come.
Exactly.
But we do something special here.
When
Besides the rum, obviously.
When the Badass at Mark II Escorts comes and we drop 2 and 3 seconds of stage, and the men's be like,
Only?
Oh, not only that. Aside from the time, when they get here, they're dumbfounded that they didn't have to add 200 kilos to the blasted car.
Yeah.
Right? So they're like,
Very much so.
why don't run this weight at home? Well, you gotta run it here.
Rhett, I believe, to get that red Escort up to weight, I had to come by you, and your dad gave me some lead that was a
Out of a door window.
counterweight of a door window to basically strap into the back of the Escort to get it up.
And
to
I
weight.
had a fat and Barry word.
I definitely
comment
think
on that.
I definitely think that as we're talking on weight, there's this old school thing, and maybe it's in the Rally Club, maybe it's just in Barbados in general, that the cars just need to be heavy. That as soon as they're too light, they're unsafe. No, I would agree. You don't want a buggy going down your road without any steel frame around you. Just a fiberglass body is a problem.
Yeah.
But technology has come to the point where we can build lightweight cars very, very safe. And the lighter they are, as I said earlier, the less inertia when you make a mistake into the accident. So, yeah, just to add on that whole thing with the weights, you see it all the time, as they're saying, you guys come from Ireland with these Mark II Escorts, and all of a sudden, like, oh, you want to run in this group? Well, you got to put in 100 pounds of lead. I mean, my Starlet, I've got 120 pounds of lead in that.
I think that I said earlier that I don't have a problem with change, but anytime there's going to be a change, there has to be some positive outcome. So if something's not working, or something we need to evolve to something different, then I could understand it. To this point, honestly, I don't quite know what exactly what change has been. I've heard things said about changing Group S and relooking the group and that type of thing, but I'm not 100% certain of what that change or what it is that's being proposed.
Right.
And I don't know. I've heard things. I've heard several things about the weight. I've heard about allowing cars to come and compete that can't currently compete with the two-wheel drive cars down here. I've heard safety. I've heard all these things. And if someone has a logical reason to make a change, and it makes sense to me, I don't mind it. Like weights, for example, I adding weight to the group personally doesn't affect me because my car is overweight anyways. But aside from that, I don't know what value that's going to bring in terms of safety or allowing, like if you add 50 kilograms to my car or to my weight, or you add 50 kilograms to Roger's car, that's going to make very little difference.
Right.
In the grand scheme of
And
things.
it's 50 kilograms that we have to find somewhere
Fine.
secure
Right.
that when you
Yeah.
get into the 10G accident, it doesn't pass your head.
Yeah,
like a
going
missile.
straight out.
So I'm not opposed to, I certainly am all about evolving to something new, but it just needs to make sense, you know. And right now I don't think every car that you want to bring here, there is somewhere that it fits right now.
Yeah.
And that in itself I think is a good
Do-
recipe.
Do the regulators collaborate with you? Are you guys involved?
Regulator right here.
Right.
I'm not the regulator. Don't mind Jeremy.
Or one of?
I just chair the
Right. But are
of
you?
which Roger's on as well.
Right.
And it's all drivers that have engineering or mechanical mind. Jeffrey Elliott.
Yep.
Edward Corbin.
Neil Armstrong.
Roger Skeet. Derek Edwards. There's a few
Right.
core people and from varying groups, from WRC down to Group 1,
Right.
that look at the regulations. Now, I will admit it's not 100% focused on safety, but it's focused on making sure the playing field is level,
Good.
right? Seeing
Okay.
what the next evolution is, what's coming, what's going.
Well, I mean, just even in the last, even in this whole segment, I've learned, and I've learned things from hearing all y'all speak that I otherwise didn't know. And I think there are probably a lot of people out there who perhaps came in with a similar perception.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that I was not strongly against these cars, but I had a perception that shit, as sick as they are, these things can't be safe. But I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. Especially the extent like Roger showing a half gun of his car with like ridiculous amount of cage and stuff going in. I mean, but I do agree with Josh. I think that I think ultimately, people can sometimes be very averse to change, but if it makes sense and is not just adding weight in the car because somebody thinks they need to be heavier because that's going to make them safer, clearly Roger has demonstrated that is not the case.
Well, working out in Ireland, working out there. Other
Yeah.
people-
And not just Ireland.
yeah, lots of other
Belgium.
places. Norway.
Yes, they got
Estonia.
yeah.
They're all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, all right, we can brush that one aside. I think that was a good one. I wonder if you guys have thoughts around like what do you think the future holds for this group, these types of cars? Where do you see them going?
Maybe individually by car.
doesn't
because
Doesn't matter what.
Doesn't matter.
Why?
It has to take its natural progression. Right? I might leave. Look, Neil left the group and went WRC, and Dane joined. Stuart Maloney came with a Citroen. Josh stopped for a while. He came back after a couple of years. You shouldn't throw away something because no one's interested in it or it's.
I didn't
died
mean to
out
throw
a
it
few
away.
years. No, as in it's come down
Right.
in numbers. That Ian Warren is not in it anymore.
Yeah.
In that group, so that group was really hefty. And like every other group, WRC group did it for many years. You had a lot of WRC cars, and you had a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot. It's just a cycle, right? So you don't fix something that's not broken.
Yeah, that's fair. Roger?
That seems like a bit of money with getting an R5.
You need a decent amount of money to get an R5.
Yeah. And the thing
It's
with
the
the
first
R5
cost.
is that then on tarmac, in my opinion, on tarmac, then it's still kind of boring.
Sorry, just not across you.
To drive, so you go ahead.
Just as I was on the tip of my tongue, this conversation I had a couple of days ago with someone saying, "Oh look, your car is just as much money as an R5 car." Yeah, but over the period of 10 years,
Yeah.
I didn't foot that bill.
That's a big
One time.
People
Yeah.
need to understand
Right?
that
So
too,
they have to
right?
understand that as well.
'Cause
And the person that told me that is very, very shocking that he would say that because he's a guy and he know.
Right. I've heard that multiple. We've heard that too, even here. So we've heard it from
So what I did-
multiple people.
Yeah.
The amount of money that y'all have sunk into these cars.
but it's
You should just buy an R5.
exactly, but
That's-
everybody's
It wasn't like the check was written all at once.
Oh, exactly.
like, and Josh too, like 10 years. How long was your start? Like 5 years?
Easily 5 years.
Exactly, and your start has been like 20 years probably. Like, it's just
version 3.
Yeah,
now.
I think
Tomorrow.
I think certainly if it wasn't for Group S and how Group S was structured, I never would have gotten where I am now. Never.
Yeah.
Just because never being in a position to just foot out and out purchase of something at that level. So I've my entire rally career has been extremely budget oriented. I mean, I run on a very, very tight budget every time, and it's allowed me. That's why it took me 10 years, but it allowed me to do a little bit here, a little bit there, and every step of the way, there was someone else and a few other people in that range with me that we were just moving together, and it was constantly competition, constantly going, and then you always set a target and you get there, and the development is still there, even though you never reach that goal because there's always something more you want to do, something more you want to experiment with. But I think not having that would put people at a disadvantage at reaching the level that we have come to over a period of time. And I think that's important for the club and for rally.
I wanted to ask a little bit about sponsorship and how over the years has it changed in trying to secure it, or I mean, some of you have some very long-standing relationships. I don't know about some of you, but talk me through, like, in terms of sponsorship, have you seen like a real clamoring for advertising in the past 10 years compared to now, or has it changed in any way? That's just for my personal. I'm just intrigued by how that works.
It's come a long way and it's changed.
Yeah, come a long way and it's changed. Sponsorship is a funny old thing. Certainly the companies that I'm with right now are I guess some of the best companies I've ever been with, I would have to say. And the reason is not only do they sit down at a table with me and plan to give me a lump sum of cash for sponsorship to put towards all my expenses, they then put aside a budget to promote the sponsorship. And that's where I think a lot of things go wrong, where people say, well, I can give you this money, put it on the rally car, and expect then to get a lot of returns back from it. But if you don't take that then and make some posters to hand out here, get some ads in the paper, hit Facebook, blah, 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 to me, it's wasted money.
Yep, understood.
So, yeah, my 2 cents.
No, I mean, for real. I mean, I think there's definitely, I think sometimes sponsors expect, I don't know what,
But there's two
some
types of
companies.
Right.
I've had sponsors which are extremely results driven. Results, because that's what they're going to use as their marketing tool. And I have a current sponsor that doesn't care about the results.
Yeah.
As long as I do the events, show the thing, I do my stuff on the side for the sponsor, whether it's ambassadors or it's ads or it's whatever, right? So
No problem.
So there's 2 different types.
Yeah.
Also, what has taken away, and I don't want to say anything bad or anyone take it the wrong way, but what has taken away from a lot of the competitor sponsorship is the corporate sponsorship towards the events, especially Rally Barbados. So
Right, you mean they're
big
sucking up
corporate
dollars
sponsors,
that they would go to a car,
So,
and now
yes,
they're
the
putting it
club-
at an
the
event.
club obviously needs a lot of money, and a lot of people don't know what it. Haven't been on the committee, I know what it takes to run Rally Barbados.
Well, Neil
It's
Bernard
a
told
lot
us
of money.
it is a lot of money.
Right. So yes, the clubs need the money to run the event. If not, we can rally. But at the same time, the competitors also need the sponsorship to keep the cars going to do the rally. So there has to be a fine balance. And for a couple of years, it was a little bit lopsided, but it's starting to obviously COVID now screwed a lot of things. But at one point, it was starting to come back towards where it was kind of like, the club's going to get.
And there's enough money for competitors still. Yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, I don't know if I can even say this, but I've
Edit it out after. Think about it. Say it anyway.
Bring this man another beer.
Hold on. I definitely sat in meetings. I definitely can't say this. But I know for a fact, just marketing budget of, say, title sponsor with the Rally Barbados, they're spending $400,000 at least just to market Rally Barbados.
It's tons.
That's just in advertising.
There's tons of money.
There's
tons of money. But as Rhett said, sometimes there are people, there's sponsors. I think there's kind of 2 ways to look at it. And I've been involved in rally sponsoring from, I think, almost both of these sides. And there's one aspect where you make an investment into it. You understand that there's a risk in the investment, because if you're stickering a car or that you own a whole car, there's obviously you want that car to do as many events as possible and to give you as much exposure. But you accept that there's a risk that this car could break down and, or God forbid, have a crash. And you can't, that. And if it's out for a bunch of events after that, you're not going to say, oh, well, I gave you X amount of dollars, but you didn't compete, so you need to give me back money. So there's an inherent risk going in as a sponsor. But as you guys said, it is not your responsibility as a driver to make my sponsorship dollars work for me. I need to accept that I'm going to give this driver X amount of dollars, and if I'm smart, I'm also then going to do my part to make sure that I use this brand that the driver has to leverage into sales or whatever it is.
I think I'm going to ask Neil that, because, I mean, Neil, you did a couple rallies overseas where you did Rally Trinidad, I remember, and you won that. Did you ever feel any pressure from sponsors or anything like that of what you had to do?
I don't think I ever felt pressure in terms of a results-based pressure. But I mean, as a personal thing, I have definitely felt pressure in terms of your responsibilities of them making sure they got their marketing dollar back from what they were giving you, and dealing with marketing people, which definitely was not my strong point. I think it's easy for it to turn into a bit of a circus, which again is not my job. But I mean, yeah, I don't think I ever felt. I guess that Simpson was it definitely had some results-based pressure being put on you. But yeah, that's the name of the game. That's just how it is. You know, people giving you money, and it's a job. They're giving you money. They want to see something in return, and it's just like some employers. Some are more strict than others, or some expect more from their employees than others, and that's just how it is. And you have to just kind of weigh the pros and cons and find yourself sponsors where you feel comfortable. You know, some people like me might want to not do certain things that other people are willing to do, and you just need to build relationships over a time where you can get enough money to do what you want to do and leverage your time what you're willing to do. And it's a constant balance, I guess, in those two areas.
Appreciate everybody being candid with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the sponsors are very important.
Of course, absolutely, 100%.
Well, not only for y'all, but for the rallying in general. You know, it's
Anybody need
Without them, it wouldn't happen.
anybody need sponsorship? Big platform, because
everybody would probably, I'm sure.
No one's gonna refuse it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. Nah, I got enough.
You want to end off with what the plans are, future wise, Raj, with the car. When's it gonna be back? There's a couple of events coming up.
Yeah,
you're gonna be ready. You're not gonna be ready.
No, I'm not getting this airbox till December. So first event next year, I'll be back out. And
what about Barry?
He's doing the event coming up, and the car's been down for a little while doing the airbox, but obviously I've been picking at other things.
Anything you want to share?
No.
Okay, cool. I tried. Joshua, what we coming back out?
How much how much you gonna pay for information?
Hold on, we gotta ask Josh what's happening, because hold on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What?
It's still 50-50, right?
I think a lot of people had questions on, you did the event prior to Rally Barbados, and then we didn't see you. What happened?
I did the first event that I drove.
The sprint.
Well, actually, the first event I drove since I took a break was last year, the end of last year.
Right.
But I had multiple issues with the car. It just wasn't ready, because we changed some things with the suspension, and we changed the wheel size and different things, and it just didn't work out well. So we kind of went back and redid what we needed to do, and then we drove this event before Rally Barbados.
Yep.
And that went pretty good. And I certainly want to get back into more regular competition, but I'm definitely not going to be back at the stage where I'm going to be hitting it hardcore all the time, every single stage. I mean, every single rally. Like, I can probably more pick and choose.
Okay.
The reason I didn't do Rally Barbados is that it just didn't feel right. Like, I just didn't feel like it was something I wanted to get into at this point. It's really, it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you time-wise as well. And and I knew these events were coming up, and I get so much enjoyment from doing like a double-header event. It's not even funny. I like that event at Kendall, I just thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And my plan is to do that, maybe do a couple of one-day rallies, maybe Rally Barbados if I feel like. But for the time being, that's it. I want to get back into it. I want to see if I'm able to stay competitive. I mean, it's been a while, like obviously coming out to the end of when I was rallying, Roger and myself had some incredible
Good battles. Great battles.
Real intense battles. I think for a period of time we didn't even talk to each other. No, I just get it. But it was intense. You could ask Roger. I mean, there were some fierce battles that really made it spectacular.
Yeah.
You couldn't literally you went out there and you could not blink.
Yeah.
Could not blink, and you guaranteed it every single time. There were other people who were there and thereabouts as well, but every single time we were, it was really an experience. So I mean, will I get back to that point? I don't know, because Roger's obviously been, he's been competing for the last 3 years that I haven't, and I mean, done some work with the car and gone faster. So I don't know if I would get back to that level, but I mean, certainly we're gonna give it a go and try and see how we compete. You know, how competitive we can be.
That's it. Throw down the gauntlet. See what happens.
Try, you know.
Right. Cool. Right.
Yeah.
Wait. I thought he was gonna. So you're still gonna use the Starlet, right? You rebuild. You doing any rebuilds, or you just it's almost ready?
No, no, I still I mean, still using the Starlet. We have changed some things on it, right?
Okay.
I mean, we've changed some suspension. Still
Arrow.
we got a new arrow. We got a new arrow. We got the engine is still the same size engine.
Okay.
Car's a bit heavier now because put on bigger wheels and that type of thing. So, but still, it feels good on the 15s. The car feels really nice. So I think it has potential.
Okay,
certainly.
cool.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we'll just wait for Neil Corbin to get a bigger engine, right?
Yeah, was it you or someone you were saying last time? Neil needs to just get an 18 and stop playing.
Just stop fooling around.
Yeah.
Right.
Just come and do it.
Yeah.
Come in and play with the big boys.
That's
then.
it, right?
Neil Armstrong,
That's
when
it.
are you coming back?
Nip it.
Hopefully mid to end of next year. I would like to do like a car zero. Like to do that
With your Starlet?
with the Starlet.
Oh, okay.
Just to feel it out. Yeah, just feel it out, shake it down.
Are-
The issue with the Starlet is that I don't want to get in a dogfight with these boys at this stage. Think I'm past that. But would like to come and
But
come have a
listen,
little fun.
do you share their kind of perspective where they both you guys said that you enjoy kind of these shorter one day or double header events
Most
rather than a
definitely.
Rally Barbados?
Oh, that most
Love
definitely
them.
that's where my focus is for sure. Rally Barbados is just as Josh said, time consuming, but more importantly, very very expensive to do. Morning event in St. John or anywhere like that is just perfect. That's where I would like to be. So I'd like to give the car a little shakedown middle of next year, and then going forward from that, pick and choose some morning events. Hopefully that Josh and Roger are not doing.
You're gonna wait to see the entry list and I'm like, good.
Yeah.
And turn up.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm gonna do.
fair enough.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Rhett, you
Yeah.
seem to be the only one that takes it seriously in here. I'm just kidding.
Well, not judging by Rally Barbados. I actually spoke with Andrew Jones a couple of days ago, and those guys, him and Barry and Neil Corbin, all them in a fight for these points and thing. I said, well, Jones, don't worry about me. I think I can stick to this skating around thing.
You win too many of them. That's what
Well, it was that. And honestly, truth be told,
Is
I have a lot.
is it lonely on the top?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, truth be told, I have a lot on my plate at the moment, and next year might be a slim year for me. I might just pick and choose events. Yes, Rally Barbados, because I have sponsors that, we need to do Rally Barbados to get the mileage, but it might not be all the events. Life goes on. I have stuff that needs to be done and dealt with.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be competing for the win or competing
For sport.
for sport, skate around. To tell you the truth, the skate around was pressure free, not a care in the world. We had conversations like Corbis and Roger did, me and Bradley. He was telling me, all right, I got enough people here, skate it here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was it was a nice change.
Yeah.
So that's going to continue for the next event next weekend.
Good man.
Nice.
More skating next
Yeah.
weekend.
Good.
Yeah, tossing out your time card. Yeah, not worrying about your times too much.
Good man. That's
Let
sporty.
Jones and them boys going.
It's always
right
nice to
thing.
see the BMW driven that way. Not gonna lie.
Well, I tell you, it's sketchy. It's long, huh?
It looks so.
That was stick between some cut rock quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, like get out of control.
No, that's good action, man.
Cool. Well, boys, anybody have any parting words? Anything they didn't say that they wish they could have said before we close off?
The only thing I would say is I don't really think that Josh and I were able to get over to the public how effing awesome our cars are to drive.
It looks like it. I will say that.
As Josh said, when you get that good run, everything is where it's meant to be. All the notes are on point, and everything has just gone through. It is better than sex.
And from another competitor, I ain't getting in the car with neither one of them.
Fair enough.
I think you were planning to. It was you're navigating for me in this coming event. Is that was a big announcement?
I gotta be a no.
All right.
I'll go with Rhett in the bus if it's
Hey. All right.
You can take the box seat.
we can definitely do that.
Ladies and gents, we appreciate the listenership, YouTube, Facebook, IG. To everybody here today, we
Yeah,
certainly
guys,
appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, man.
And a shout out to Sparko, who makes the best shirt in Barbados.
Ever.
Good. Well, not in Barbados,
It's
but yeah.
Formula. Fuck off.
Good. Bye.